All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, in this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about this whole Kirk Cousins thing, right? I feel like it's being talked about quite a lot. We had Rich Cimini of ESPN link Kirk Cousins to the Jets as a potential option, as a realistic option, and all signs are pointing to the Atlanta Falcons releasing Cousins. That's, and that's been the case really since he was benched at the end of the season for, of course, Michael Penix. Now, when it comes to Kirk Cousins, there's some good, there's some bad. Let's talk about the good first, right? Why is this even being talked about right now? Well, Kirk Cousins, first and foremost, would fit the Jets system, assuming that they run something similar to what Detroit runs, right? So, if that's the case, what is that Detroit offense known for at the quarterback position, right? It's someone who can get down under center. It's someone who's going to be handing the football off a lot. Someone who can throw darts over the middle of the field, who can work off of play action. Can you step up into the pocket? Can you roll out on bootlegs, right? How often or how effective can you be at selling the play action game? Do you have that good deep ball accuracy to when that play is called, you can actually strike gold there? And the Jets have been absolutely terrible at utilizing the deep parts of the field. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't know if it's the wide receiver personnel. I don't know if it's the quarterbacks. I don't know if these, this is even being talked about. But I felt like at times the Jets offense ran within a 15-yard box. And there was this rule that the Jets were not allowed to pass that wall. Right. It's just we have to play within these 10, 15 yards. Very, very difficult to watch. I feel like this offense will definitely have some more shots down the field, if you will. But again, with Kirk Cousins, that's kind of been his MO, right? All those years with Washington, running the West Coast system, of course, with Shanahan at first and then Jay Gruden. And then, all those seasons in Minnesota, right? All those, just when you think about Kirk Cousins, that's what he is. He works really, really well off play action. He hits wide open guys over the middle of the field. He has velocity on those footballs. So he does fit that system from that standpoint. Now, secondly, Cousins would be really, really cheap. Why would he be cheap? Of course, because he signed the, 4-year, $180 million contract, $100 million guaranteed, and he's already going to be leaving that team in year one. He didn't even play all 17 games, right? So, in other words, the Falcons owe him a ton. They owe him a ton of money. So is Kirk Cousins at this stage of his career, late 30s, already getting so much cash from the Falcons where it didn't even work out, where he was benched for a rookie? Is he going to hit the free agent market and just start demanding, I want $15-20 million a season? I mean, he'd be like, I would be stunned if a team out there looked at Kirk Cousins and said, man, you know what? We're thinking 30 mil, 35 million. It's just not in the cards. It's just simply not going to happen. It reminds me a lot of when Russ left Denver, right? Denver was obviously paying Russell Wilson just a ton of cash, so it gave Russ the flexibility to just go out and sign a 1-year vet minimum with the best fit. So from that standpoint, the Jets could easily sign Kirk Cousins for $3 million, $2 million. It could happen. It could even be less than that. Now, there's been some rumors, Cleveland might be involved. There's some other teams that need a quarterback. What happens with Tennessee? What happens with Indy? What happens with the Raiders? And obviously the Jets here as well, Steelers. So I think because of that, you could see maybe the start of a small bidding war. But the point remains the same. You do not have to spend a lot to go get Kirk Cousins. The third positive here. He had the Achilles injury in the same season that Aaron Rodgers had his, but he had it further into the season. And at times, Kirk Cousins has talked about him not being 100% healthy this year. So if he hits the offseason, he is 100% healthy. Could we see maybe a better version of Cousins in 2026? You can surely make that argument. The last and final point here, you do have that connection between Kirk Cousins and Rick Spielman. Rick Spielman now part of the Jets front office. Spielman signed Kirk Cousins. He was the GM in charge when he brought him in from Washington. But in any case, you do have that familiarity between Spielman and Cousins. You have that, that backstory already established to where, if Muji likes it, if Glenn likes it, they have the perfect resource, the GM that signed and spent so much time with him back in Minnesota, to give you the details, right? The positives and the negatives, how he was in the building, how he was in meeting rooms, how he was in practice and everything like that. Now, of course, there are negatives with Kirk Cousins. The first, the elephant in the room, he was not good. He did not look good last season, right? He looked okay. It was weird, right? He looked okay to start the year off. He in Zach Robinson's offense, right? He was going through his reads effectively. He was checking the ball down. He was getting the football out of his hands. But as the season went on, it's like I was watching Kirk Cousins, in that like mid portion of the year, that mid to late portion of the year, and he looked unplayable. I don't want it to sound rude or harsh, but that was just my natural instinct. Like, Kirk Cousins is unplayable right now. He looked so slow, so clunky. He did not want to get hit. He was afraid of contact. There would be a defender barreling down in the pocket, and he would just crumble immediately before he would just go down. Right, quick to give up on plays. The ball placement was just bad. It was frustrating. It also felt like an eternity watching him drop back in the pocket. Like the steps were just so small. There wasn't enough space in between his steps dropping back. I'm just gonna assume age and the Achilles injury had something to do with that. But man, like it, even in shotgun, like him dropping back, it's just, you're like, come on, can you get to that back step, right? That last step in the drop. And then, God forbid he'd have to step up into the pocket. In that, for whatever reason, in that mid to late portion of the year, it just was not good. It was truly hard to watch. Truly. And then you factor in all the turnovers, right? 18 touchdowns to 16 picks. I understand that Cousins is blaming a lot of this on the, coming back from the Achilles injury pretty soon, but I mean, man, it just was not pretty for Cousins last season. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on Cousins. Again, there are positives here: price, system fit. He's not going to come in and ruffle feathers or anything like that. You have that Spielman connection, but the downside, if we get the Kirk Cousins from last season, I have a feeling he's going to be out of that starting lineup very, very, very quickly. And I don't necessarily want to sign a guy that I feel like is, if I already have that notion before we hit free agency. So I don't really know what to make of the whole Kirk Cousins thing. But I can't wait to see where you guys stand on it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. And as always, go Jets.